Have you ever witnessed an organization, any organization, small, medium, or large organizations, excited at the idea of launching a new system, but suddenly plunge into chaos? Sounds familiar, right? Missed deadlines, budgets spiraling into cost overruns, and departmental heads or team members getting at loggerheads with each other. If you've ever wondered why enterprise resource planning systems often launch into failures rather than success, then you're not alone. Hi, I am Cindy, and my colleague here is...
My name is Chinedu Omenkukwu, and today we're going to talk to you about our book, Mastering ERP Projects. This book was designed specifically to help reduce the chaos and noise that's created during ERP projects. ERPs can be a very, very powerful tool for every enterprise, but if not done properly, it can also lead to loss of money, time, and useful resources.
Now, I would like you to imagine a central command center, a big hub, that organizes or has different activities: sales, finance, inventory, purchasing, human resources, all these different activities happening, speaking to each other, and working hand in hand. Sounds interesting, right? This is the power of enterprise resource planning, ERP systems. ERP, in simple terms, is a comprehensive suite of systems that allows for critical business functions to work simultaneously in the same system, allowing for data flow, seamless integration, as well as ensuring that you have informed decision-making happening as a whole. Now, ERP is fantastic, but it's not just about the tool and technology. You have to consider the project management side of things. Ensuring that you have meticulous project management is very critical to ensuring that you have a successful implementation. You have to ensure that you are taking into cognizance the planning, the organization of the resources, the tasks, activities, as well as ensuring that you are meeting specific timelines, goals, as well as the budget. Now, I want you to think about an event. You have, the food vendor you have to think about, the location, you have to think about entertainment, security, and lots of other different unit items. But then, if one activity or one particular aspect of that event goes wrong, what happens? Things can go out of sync, and the entire event can possibly go to an abrupt stop or maybe end up in chaos. And that is how it applies to ERP systems as well. So it is very important that you take into cognizance project management. And in our book, The Mastering ERP Projects, we take time to dissect and provide strategies that provide you the right platform to scale and implement ERP projects right. So what then causes a lot of failures? Why are organizations not tapping into the transformative power of ERP systems? Now, in our book, Mastering ERP Projects, we have gone ahead to dissect three main issues that affect organizations generally. One is complexity, two is resistance from employees, and three is strategic misalignment. Now, in terms of complexity has to do with, we are going ahead to implement a new system. And then the VP suddenly comes and says, oh, I want a dancing chart or a dancing graph. And the director also comes with some other unrealistic features. You have situations where people decide that we do not want to go with the out-of-box solution. We want to go further to make lots and lots of customizations. Now, that goes further to somehow make a seemingly easy 6-month project become a 12-month project. Now, when it comes to the realistic expectations or resistance that may apply from the people, the users, that is also due to user adoption not being properly taken into cognizance. Training. How are you taking the users, along, ensuring that they understand what needs to be implemented? And then the third part is the strategic misalignment. Wow, we found this wonderful, beautiful solution. Fantastic, right? But does it really fit into the overarching strategic objectives of the company? Those are the things that you need to take into consideration when you are implementing ERP. Now, real cases, right? Let's talk about that. Imagine in an organization, and I'm going to refer to a specific company from our experience, a very bustling company, a multinational. They were very excited. They started this fantastic launch of a new system. And they did not sit down to do the appropriate planning and understand how this project or this system would be implemented from end to end. Now, somehow down the line, they got into the data migration aspects, and the team became overwhelmed because they did not sit down to actually understand what the data migration process would be from start to finish. Alas, the team became overwhelmed. Because the ERP system became overcomplicated, they had to do several runs. And this is just one of many scenarios that happened. Eventually, we started to see poor communication also happen among the teams. The departments were not having cohesive discussion and appropriate meetings on a daily basis. Poor communication started to lead to confusion, ambiguity, and emotional stress among the colleagues. And of course, there were lots and lots of operational disruptions when the project eventually was launched. Post-implementation is also a very key aspect of your ERP implementation. Now, on the next slide, I will talk about the key insights and secrets from our book, The Mastering ERP Projects. We take our time to dissect very important factors: how you can achieve strategic clarity, how you can ensure you achieve adaptability and scalability, and of course, human-centric ERP success.
Thank you. I would like to walk you through, from years of experience, how we have broken down the key insights that we have put in our book, Mastering the ERP Projects, for what the key success for having successful ERP deliveries. We've broken them down to achieving strategic clarity, adaptability, and scalability, and the human aspect of it. We believe that an ERP system is not just a piece of software or a tool. It's actually one of 3 pieces that is critical for a successful implementation for any organization. There is the people, process, and technology. And each of these 3 components have to work hand in hand. The following slides are going to deep dive into these 3 aspects. The first we'll look at is achieving strategic clarity. Your strategy has to be clean, clear, precise from the get-go. How you choose your ERP, how you project manage your ERP, how you choose the team that would deploy this ERP, your go-live plan, your post-go-live plan, all has to be thoughtfully orchestrated for success. You have to know exactly why you want to choose an ERP, what are the criteria you're looking for, how do you test your ERP, how do you create processes and strategies around the system from the beginning, when you have the inception of the idea, to the deployment, to the application or post-go live. Strategy is going to be very, very key to the success of an ERP. An ERP is not a big bang It's live, everybody goes home and we're happy. And ERP is a system that is meant to evolve with the business. It's meant to grow with the business, adapt to the business, mutate with the business. Ultimately, it's meant to be a strategic partner to the business. Hence, we have to treat it with the desired urgency and criticality it needs. Strategy is everything. I put process here as the first slide because of how critical it is to do proper planning before you even start an ERP project. That being said, it is one of the three necessary ingredients we've identified for successful projects. The second would be the adaptability and scalability of the application itself. Now, it's important for us to know that ERP system typically has a technology component attached to it. This technology component has to meet the 4 criteria we've listed here. It has to be, of course, very, very flexible. A cocktail, a myriad of people will be using your ERP software, from very experienced technology people to laymen, in quotes, people that are not too conversant with IT technologies. The system has to be flexible enough to accommodate every type of user, irrespective of your knowledge level or your tech savviness. You have to be able to use the system. You have to also avoid over-complexity. It has to be as simplistic as possible. In fact, we like to use the KISS principle in this case, where the whole idea should be to keep it stupidly simple. Keep it so simple that a first grader can be able to use the application. That is how an ERP that really would be used by people should be designed from the get-go. Planning for scalability is also very important. The goal for every business, apart from making money, is to grow. And your ERP system needs to be able to grow with you. It needs to be able to adapt with you. If you decide to onboard new companies, onboard new processes or business lines, your ERP system has to be able to also scale and adapt with the business as it grows, right? So it has to be a growth partner for the business. And last but not the least, it has to also be able to evolve with technology. Some 10 years ago, there was a lot of talk about blockchain. A lot of ERP systems that adapted to the blockchains were able to survive that paradigm. Now we are in the AI era. A lot of ERP systems, technology-wise, that are able to inculcate or adapt AI into their processes will definitely be the winner in the next couple of years. So choosing the right ERP and keeping in mind that the technology evolution, scalability, flexibility, and customizability are very important aspects for choosing the right ERP system. Now, last but not the least, which to me personally is the most important, is the human factor. These systems are going to be used by human beings. Human beings are the lifeline, the bloodline of every business. The data entry into the ERP system, being able to pull out reports from the ERP system, are all going to be done by humans. So we have to take care of that when we are rolling out our ERP system. We have to involve all stakeholders from the get-go. And by stakeholders, I mean both executive management, mid-level management, and even the staff, even down to the janitors, I dare say. Everybody must be carried along when developing an ERP system. It has to be tailored. You have to tailor trainings to meet everybody at their knowledge level. You also need to have very clear communications on how to use the system, how to input data, how to interact with the systems, the different workflows and processes that you've put into the systems. And even in defining those workflows, these users have to also be carried along. Last but not the least, leadership is very, very important for the success of any ERP project. The executives, the stakeholders, C-level stakeholders need to be very, very involved in the entire life cycle of the deployment of an ERP system. They need to work hand in hand with the project managers to make sure they're able to translate their idea of the business down to the system. An ERP is only as good as how it is built. If it's the weakest link, the weakest information that is put into the ERP systems becomes the bottleneck for that system. So it is very, very critical, and I cannot overemphasize this point, that leadership is going to be key to a successful ERP project. That being said, we try not to let out all the cats, we're not going to let the cat out of the bag completely. Our book has a ton load more of very critical, strategic, clearly implementable ideas that you can use to ensure that your ERP is a success. I would like to encourage everybody to make sure they read through this and keep this mindset that people, technology, and the process are three critical aspects for a successful ERP project. That being said, I would like you to understand that an ERP, again, is not a once built, you walk out of the system. An ERP is meant to evolve with the business. You typically want to take a strategic look at your ERP deployment and get it right once. And once you're done with that, you want to layer on top of that development. You want to energize the organization for growth and innovation. The ERP should help to spur growth. It should help to spur innovation. It should also help to make the business more visible. It should make it more agile, right? And last but not the least, you always have to keep your eye on the long-term goal. The long-term goal will be achieved if you are disciplined in the practices that you've set as the foundation for your ERP system, and then you continuously involve both leadership and clarity in the whole activities related to the ERP system. That being said, I would encourage all of us to go out there and try and build something beautiful. This book particularly is not meant for just the project managers. It's meant for the project managers, it's meant for the executives in organizations, it's meant for the users of all ERP systems, and it's also meant for people that plan to use an ERP system at some point. If you've ever failed in an ERP project, if you've ever had confusion, chaos, a lot of misunderstandings or ambiguity around your ERP system, our book is a useful tool that would help clarify all those ambiguity and make it a very seamless process. Even if you have to redeploy the ERP, then you can get it right the next time. That being said, our book encourages us to go on a journey from chaos to clarity. We have a lot of structured project management ideology and tips, practical tips that have been put into the book. We've added ways for how you can actively engage all the different stakeholders at different levels in the book, and also how to handle change management. All those and more are beautiful aspects that our book presents to you, and hence we are here giving this presentation. Cindy?
All right. The Mastering ERP Projects is your blueprint for success. It provides you the roadmap you need to deliver successfully on every ERP implementation from start to finish, as well as post-implementation. Now, ERP, when mastered, becomes more than a system. It becomes the strategic backbone of your organization, and this book provides you that blueprint. On this note, I would like to invite you to scan the QR codes on the slide to purchase your copy and ensure that you become that master of chaos today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.